So I was recently talking with someone from one of the Democratic, excuse me, one of the Democratic clubs, and she said, "Well, how do you handle disappointment or frustration?" I can't remember what the word was. And when you have a special needs kid, uh, you know, losing an election or running different, running up against hard legislation, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And every day you wake up and what's the day going to hold? She has seizures,
Mm-hmm.
and a seizure can be 30 seconds or it can be 30 minutes. And she's had 4 seizures greater than 30 minutes, and that's considered life-threatening. About 10% mortality with that. And so when you have 4 of them, 3 of them when she's already on seizure medications, it's very difficult. And so every day you wake up, what's the week gonna hold? I mean, my wife has spent a week in Orlando, Arnold Palmer's Hospital, because of a bad seizure. And so you wake up in the morning and you realize the next week you could be in Orlando for the next week
Mm-hmm.
at a hospital. So everything is perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is perspective. Does that make us, more appreciative of our normal children? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I mean, we're both pretty normal people, so it's not like, we don't take anything for granted. But having a special needs child like that, it does, a normal breakfast with your kids, it's special.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also at the same time very fortunate. We're obviously both doctors. We built a house with ramps that we knew that just, she learned how to walk since then, so they're not as operational. But, we are friends with families in Alabama who, single mom, 3 kids, and 1 disabled daughter like Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
She's in a single wide, double wide. I mean, we can at least, we can go upstairs, work out, bring Elizabeth upstairs. She has a therapy room up there. We can do therapy there.
Mm-hmm.
We have, one half of the house is essentially her side with her bedroom, a therapy room, a TV room. So, handicap bathroom, which is real important for us. So at the same time, we're extremely fortunate. And not all families have that access to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great family support system. My in-laws live in town.
It sounds like a full life, and so I'm really fascinated by where does politics enter into this equation. I don't get the sense that you really have you're not somebody who's been chomping at the bit to run for
No.
Congress for a
No.
long time or something.
I've always loved public policy. I've always loved, I like to read. I like to read studies about healthcare. I love to read studies about healthcare policy. And, when you're a radiologist and you see patients come in who are facing maybe a breast cancer diagnosis, and they care much more about how they're going to pay for that biopsy. God forbid it's positive, that their deductible is a $7,000 deductible. And how that, rather than, oh my God, you're 52 years old and you're facing a breast cancer diagnosis. And, that's wrong. In America, we spend twice as much as everyone else on health care. We have, when you look at the big studies of birth rate and all, it's very difficult to judge healthcare here versus other countries because of a lot of socioeconomic factors, right? If Denmark spends more money on housing and public assistance than we do, which they do, their health outcomes are better. So it's hard to say, if when people get lymphoma, they don't go to Denmark for treatment, they come to America for treatment because we have the greatest doctors and greatest treatment in the world. But by the same point, when you look at the overall, Daschle said it best, we have islands of exceptional care and we have deserts of poor care. And that's what America has right now, and that's what we need to stop. We need to get health care for everyone. It's a human right. It is an American right. It's to me, it's just extremely important. And as every even when I started, I've been running now for about 7 weeks. We didn't decide to run until early January. And even in those 7 weeks, I spent a lot of time campaigning, but I'm still a physician, and I still run into patients, and it reaffirms my reason for running, and that is that health in America, You should not have to decide between a car payment and a breast biopsy. That's just fundamental. It's the greatest country in the world, and we have families in this area. In this area, it's tough because we have essentially two healthcare providers, and the prices have continued to go up. We pay for health insurance for our employees. My wife does health insurance for her employees, and we've seen the rates go up and up and up, and it's very difficult for families to cope with. And so that's one of the main reasons I'm running.